As we age, our relationships with our children evolve. The tiny hands we once held are now grown, managing their own lives, facing challenges we may not fully understand, and carrying responsibilities we sometimes underestimate. Theo superscript 1 Elders often speak with love but forget that words, though simple, can feel heavy when repeated. There are phrases that, without intention, hurt our adult children and create distance at the very time when closeness and warmth are needed most. Below, we expand on the 5 most common phrases, why they are toxic, how they affect children emotionally, and the better way to express the same feelings with love and respect. 1. You never have time for me. This phrase is perhaps one of the most common sentences parents say as they grow older. On the surface, it comes from a place of longing, the desire for more visits, more calls, more moments together. But to an adult child, these words can sound like guilt-tripping. Instead of being heard as "I miss you," they are often felt as "you are failing me." Adult children juggle careers, families of their own, health struggles, and personal stress. When they hear, "You never have time for me," they may feel a heavy burden of guilt. It makes them think that no matter what they do, it will never be enough. Over time, guilt can turn into avoidance because visiting or calling doesn't feel like love anymore. It feels like an obligation or punishment. A better way to express the same emotion is to gently communicate love without blame. For example, instead of saying, "You never have time for me," try saying, "I always feel so happy when we talk or spend time together. When can I see you next?" Instead of guilt, offer joy. "Your voice makes my day brighter. Even a short call means a lot to me." This small shift changes everything. It reminds your children that you are not demanding their time, you are cherishing it. Thy love is not measured by hours spent, but by the warmth shared when you are together. 2. In my day, we did things better. This is a phrase filled with nostalgia. Elders often compare the present to the past, believing their way of living, working, or raising families was superior. While it may be true that life was simpler back then, saying, "In my day, we did things better," often dismisses the struggles and achievements of today's generation. Adult children hear this phrase as a judgment, that their efforts don't measure up, that their challenges aren't valid, or that the modern world is just an excuse for weakness. Imagine a son working 60 hours a week to support his family, only to hear, "In my day, we worked harder." Or a daughter balancing a career and children, only to be told, "In my day, mothers stayed at home and raised kids the right way." These words, though not meant to harm, can sting deeply. The reality is, every generation faces different challenges. Yesterday's struggles are not today's struggles. The battles may look different, but they are still real, still heavy, and still require strength. When elders dismiss the present by glorifying the past, they unknowingly tell their children, "What you do is not enough." A better way is to share wisdom without comparison. For example, "I remember how tough things were in our time. I admire how you handle today's challenges. It's so different now. Life changes so much from one generation to the next. I'm proud of how you are managing in this world." Instead of making children feel small, these words uplift them. They create connection by recognizing both the value of the past and the weight of the present. 3. You should live your life the way I tell you. Parents want what's best for their child. This never changes, even when those children are adults. Elders often give advice based on their own life experience, hoping to protect their children from mistakes. But when advice becomes a command, "You should live your life the way I tell you," it can feel suffocating. Adult children, even in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, need to feel ownership of their lives. When they hear controlling language, they often feel treated like children again, as though their decisions are invalid unless approved. This creates resistance, distance, and sometimes rebellion, and not because they don't love their parents, but because they need respect for their independence. The irony is that adult children often do value their parents' wisdom. They may even crave it, but not as an order. They want guidance that feels like support, not control. A better approach is to phrase advice as encouragement. For example, instead of "You should live your life the way I tell you," Say, "Can I share what worked for me when I was in a similar situation?" Or, "I trust you make the best choice, but if you'd like my perspective, I'm always here to help." This way, advice becomes a gift, not a command. Respecting your children's independence shows trust, and trust builds stronger bonds than control ever could. Ethio +/- 4. You disappoint me. Few words are as heavy and painful as "you disappoint me." To an adult child, these words echo through the heart like a thunderclap. Often, they are said in moments of anger or frustration, when a parent feels their child has not lived up to expectations, whether about career, family, lifestyle, or even visits and calls. But disappointment is not just criticism, it is rejection. It sends the message, "You are not enough." And when adult children hear this repeatedly, it cuts their confidence, poisons their self-worth, and creates emotional distance. Instead of motivating change, it pushes them away. What elders often don't realize is that most children already carry a deep desire to make their parents proud. Even grown adults sometimes measure their worth by their parents' approval. When approval is replaced with disappointment, the heart quietly bleeds. The healthier alternative is to express feelings in a way that builds, not destroys. For example, "I may not always understand your choices, but I love you unconditionally. I want the best for you. Even when I worry, my love for you never changes." Remember, children don't need perfection in your eyes, they need acceptance. Love without conditions. The kind of love that says, "You may stumble, but you will never fall from my heart." Ethio superscripto 5. After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me? This phrase carries the weight of sacrifice, and elders have indeed sacrificed much for their children. Years of hard work, sleepless nights, struggles, and endless giving. But when this sacrifice is turned into a weapon, "After all I've done for you," a broken bar, it transforms gratitude into guilt. Adult children already know their parents sacrificed for them. They carry that knowledge in their bones. But when reminded in this way, they don't feel gratitude, they feel shame. It tells them, "You owe me, and you are failing to repay the debt." Love is never a debt to repay. True parental sacrifice is a gift freely given, not an account to be settled. When this phrase is spoken, it often makes children pull away, not because they don't love their parents, but because they feel their love is never enough. A healthier way to express this feeling is with vulnerability, not accusation. For example, instead of "After all I've done for you," try, "I sometimes feel lonely and miss the closeness we once had." Or, "My joy comes from spending time with you. Your presence means more than any repayment." These words open doors instead of closing them. They remind children that what parents want most is not repayment, but connection, love, and togetherness. Thy si diaresis sedilla. Closing thoughts. Elders hold immense power in their words. At an age when life should feel lighter, it is important not to burden relationships with phrases that distance the very people who can bring comfort and joy. The goal is not silence, but mindfulness. As the poet Rumi once said, "Raise your words, not your voice." It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Ethio section I diaresis sedilla. Ethio sedilla. By avoiding these 5 toxic phrases, seniors can protect the most precious bond of all, the bond with their children. Replace guilt with gratitude, judgment with understanding, control with trust, disappointment with acceptance, and debt with unconditional love. In the end, what children remember most is not what was demanded of them, but the warmth of knowing they were loved completely, exactly as they are. Thy